Salvete omnes, ego sum Magister Sullivan, and today we're going to take a look at Caesar 4.24 and 4.25, where Caesar finds himself in a battle that he wishes he did not get involved in. So, last time we flashed forward from Caesar meeting the Helvetians and them asking for his permission to cross through, and him being a little less inclined to grant that based on what happened to a previous army by Marcus Cassius. All right, so here we go. So, but the barbarians, with the plan of the Romans having been learned, right? And so the plan, whose plan is it? It's the Romans' plan, right? So there's the genitive, and again, ablative absolute, ablative noun, ablative participle, ablative absolute, and yet again another ablative absolute. So we should expect another and here. So ascendaton maybe, like of a preposition. So with the equitatu, with the cavalry and the charioteers, right, having been sent forward or sent forth, right, and these guys would probably go with that too. So ablative absolute, another ablative absolute, and or by which kind um, they were accustomed to use more in battle or in battles, right? And then subsecuti, so having, this is they, right? So this is they, probably the Britanniae, they having followed, they having followed with the rest of our troops, reliquis to copies, again, ablatives, but not ablative absolute, just ablative. They were prohibiting, it's our main verb, they were preventing our troops from being able to leave their ships. Right? So we can also take this as having followed our troops with the rest of their forces. Right? They were preventing, they were prohibiting our soldiers. Right? So milites should be here, or definitely milites and not cobies, from leaving their ships or to step out of their ships. Right? There was a large or the utmost difficulty because of these things, because of these reasons, these causes. Which the ships, or because the ships were not able to, this is our infinitive, to be supported, to be stood still, on account of the magnitude, on account of the great number, so that they seem to be clustered in there, unless in the deep. However, with the, again, we can switch these with the unknown locations, or in the unknown locations, or in the places unknown, and with their hands having been impeded, right? Um, and so we go down. We're going to take these main verbs here. So we're going to imply erat with this. So erat disiliendum. These are called future passive paraphrastics, and we just translate this as had to or must. And so it must be jumped down from the ships by the soldiers, having been impressed or having been oppressed by or with the large and heavy burden of the weapons or of the army. At the same time, it must be jumped down. It had to be jumped down from the ships, and it had to be stood firm in the waves, and it was to be fought with the enemies, or with the enemy here. Now we can say when, since, or although, right? It's definitely not with here because this word is not ablative. So when they, those ones, right, having stepped out or having stepped forward, either from the dry land or a little into the water, with all their limbs having been freed from pediment, in those most noted locations, in those well known, very well known locations, they hurled spears boldly, and they were inciting their trained or well trained horses. So Equos is going to go down with insue factos. So our men, frightened or having been frightened by these things, and inexperienced altogether by this kind of battle. They were not used. They were not using. They were not utilizing the same enthusiasm or eagerness and enthusiasm in which or by which they were accustomed or they had been accustomed to fight in foot battles or in land battles, in battles with the army or foot soldiers. All right, so that is 4.24, where Caesar and his men are trying to land at Britain, and they're not quite ready for what, or trained at, or good at. Um, due to a variety of reasons, the terrain is unknown to them. The ships are packed too close together, and it's hard because of what's going on outside of their control for their troops to get down off their ships and jump into the shallows, or jump into the waves with such heavy burdens on them, right, because of their equipment. And the enemy's ready and well trained and well suited for their terrain. All right, Salvete omnes. We're back for Caesar 4.25. Here we have an example of Roman bravery. So again, going back, the Romans are hemmed in and unaccustomed, and not prepared for a prepared enemy. But we'll see what happens. Right? So, when Caesar noticed that or this, these things or this, we have to go all the way down here to find our verb. He ordered the long ships, of whom or of which there was a type, kind. So, and of which the type was unknown to the barbarians, and the motion unencumbered for use. And so the long ships were ordered to be removed a little from the large or the for the transport ships, and to be stirred up or to be propelled with or by oars, and to be stood against toward the opened side, open flank of the enemy, right? And from there, the enemy to be beaten forward and to be moved with slings, with arrows, and with these other devices, these tormentis, which hurled stone. This thing was of great use to our troops, for the barbarians having been moved thoroughly, and both by the figure of the navy, or of the fleet, and by the motion of the oars, these are genitives, and by the unaccustomed type of the tormenta, they decided, or they stood, and, or they stood still, and they retulerunt pedem, they took back their feet, they retreated a little in this way. And with our soldiers delaying greatly on account of the depth of the sea. So if we have our genitive there, one, or there was one who was carrying the eagle of the 10th legion, Caesar's favorite legion. And that one who, this guy, uh, who as a witness to the gods, to, or for, this affair, this deed, would follow fiercely, or luckily for the legion. He said, "Jump down, soldiers, unless you want to betray the eagle to the enemy. I certainly will basically do my duty for the Republic and the general." All right, so we have these datives. These are called datives of advantage or reference. So for the Republic, and again for the um, in general, this is typically literally translated as a public affair. And when he had said this with a large or great voice, Projecit, he hurled himself from the ship, and he began to carry the eagle against the enemy. Then, having urged on, or then our men having urged our men among themselves, so as not, this is one of those negative, probably a purpose clause, so as not to be sent in by, or to not be admitted, such, or to not admit, or for, so as not such shame be entered or be admitted. They, all together as one, jumped down from the ship. Likewise, first, or when, sorry, when, first from the neighboring ships, they caught sight of these ones. Having followed, they approached the enemy. All right, so here we have a example of there's a moment in the battle where the Romans seize upon initiative. It looks like the barbarians are kind of caught off guard by the nature of these ships, and one specific Roman soldier, who again is the eagle bearer of the 10th Legion. The eagle is a standard, a battle standard. Urges his compatriots to jump out, and you know, reminds them of their sense of duty to the Republic and to their general, to Caesar. And he jumps down into the waters and buries bears the eagle against the enemy. And this encourages the rest of them so that they do not be shamed, and they jump down as one, and the neighboring ships see this happen, and then they also join in the battle and approach the enemy. So that's it. That's Caesar 4.24 and Caesar 4.25. Walete omnes